it'll go into the classroom in person. Now today, Sandy will be demonstrating how his group has been learning how to make their photos better. Yes, I'm what? Okay. Thank you. Do I look better now? Come on. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. And I just had a brownie, so I hope there wasn't anything. You know what I'm talking about, okay. But they've been learning how to make their photos better by using editing software. A lot of people already have editing software at home. Now, for those of you that don't, or maybe don't plan on getting any, we do have the software in the club. So that is one of the perks of our membership. So the fact that that's available to you should also give you some hope. Now, I want to tell you, I recall when I was new to the club, I was looking over Gene Kamarmi's shoulder when he was editing photos in the club. Next to him, those of you who've been here a while, was Jerry Marion. And the two of them had this little competition going, who can make better photos with their editing. And it was kind of fun because they looked at me, because I asked them, I said, wait a minute, you mean those pictures I see up there with your name on it? That isn't how you took the picture? And they laughed at me. So I learned the truth. Most of the photos you see have been edited somewhat beautifully. And that is something that Sandy can teach you. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Sandy.
How you guys doing today? Excellent. Okay. Well, I've got a good collection of images here, so I guess you guys will be ready to see some nice stuff here pretty soon. Let's get this started. So I head up the Fine Arts SIG. Fine Arts SIG teaches members how to create better photographs by honing their skills using composition, color, light, textures, cropping, symmetry, selective focus, editing, and Painterly software. Each week, our members submit up to 5 images for group critiques, tutorials, and hands-on training. The images you'll see today are created by using these techniques. So we're going to go through a series of images as well as some interviews from my students since I couldn't be here today.
Hi, so yeah, my name's Alan Medlow, and these images that we're going to see here are ones that I've taken since joining the SIG, and since then I feel that personally my photography has really improved significantly. Not so much in as much as the technical part of it, but also the seeing the part of it and being able to edit the images in a way that's workful. So this particular one, this first one here is, as you can see, are two birds, two waxwings. And the unique part about this image is they're actually, these are adult birds. And what they're doing is they're passing berries to each other. So it's a kind of unusual thing, but fairly common, I guess, from what I hear. But yeah, so I just really like the way this image came about. And, so for this particular one, but I think again, the editing of it, you know, you can take the image, but it carries forward and things that I've learned within the Fine Arts SIG here has definitely helped produce better images from it. So if we go on to the next one, this is This is a photo of my granddaughter who likes to model for me without too much encouragement. And again, this is some of the skills that I've picked up over the couple of years. I think I've been now with the SIG. Is definitely again the image here. It just helps you to see things a little bit differently. And then on the next image,
Sandy, are you on screen share?
fairly recent
I should be.
shots of,
We can't see anything but you.
Canada.
Hang on one second.
Just shining on the tree.
You got it. Let's give
Yeah,
it a
can
look.
you start Ellen over?
Yep, we will do that.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
Hi, so yeah, my name's Alan Medlow, and these images that we're going to see here
Perfect.
are ones that I've taken since
Sorry about that.
joining the SIG, and since then I feel that personally my photography has really improved significantly. Not so much in as much as the technical part of it, but also the seeing the part of it and being able to edit the images in a way that work more. So this particular one, this first one here is, as you can see, are two birds, two waxwings. And the unique part about this image is they're actually, these are adult birds, and what they're doing is they're passing berries to each other. So it's a kind of unusual thing, but fairly common, I guess, from what I hear. But yeah, so I just really like the way this image came about, and that's about it for this particular one. But I think again, the editing of it, you know, you can take the image, but it carries forward, and things that I've learned within the fine art SIG here has definitely helped produce better images for me. So if we go on to the next one, this is a photo of my granddaughter who likes to model for me without too much encouragement. And again, this is some of the skills that I've picked up over the couple of years I think I've been now with the SIG, is definitely again improved the image here. It just helps you to see things a little bit differently. So, and then on the next image, it's a shot, fairly recent shot of the fall up in Canada, and the light just shining on the trees. And this is actually taken with a long range 600mm lens, and just the compressed look of the background, softness of the background, and the light on the leaves is quite unique. And again, with the techniques that we learned in the SIG and that other people have brought up, just help you develop this image into something that's better than what it was when we originally took the shot, with the softness of the background and the clarity of the leaves. And the next one is this is a photo of the Peace Bridge in Calgary. It's a very unique bridge. It was actually designed and manufactured in Spain, if you can believe this, and taken all the way over here and installed. So it's a beautiful bridge on the top, but it's just as equally beautiful underneath, which this is. And it's an image that I've wanted to take for a long time. And again, just trying to see things a little bit differently helps by getting some images like this. And again, some of the inspiration is definitely derived from the others of that are on the club, and give you some ideas what to look forward to. And of course, the critique that you can get from them as well, and how to improve it and what have you. Yeah, and this is a shot of my grandson, and it's just natural light coming in through an open door. And obviously it was a colored shot, but I much preferred it in black and white. And really not much else to say about it, to be honest with you. But again, just to kind of reinforce the type of things that you can learn from being within the SIG. For example, in this particular shot, I did gradiate the left-hand side a little bit to get a little bit darker image, sort of darker gradient there from the other side. And the last one is just a nice shot of a little sculpture down on Tubac. And I've took this into different programs, one of the last one being Topaz, where it generated a beautiful background for me. It enhances the background, it doesn't generate it, it enhances the background. And it just helped separate the sculpture from it and made it a little bit more interesting. And again, it's one of the things that you learn when you're in the SIG.
Okay, here's a few more of Alan's images in a gallery. We'll go through. And this next gallery is variations from different members of the group. I'm going to intersperse these between the speakers. And the credit lines on the lower part of the screen if you want to know who it is that shot these.
Hi, my name is Maureen Kirk-Detburner, and I've been a member of the fine art group SIG for almost 2 years now. I joined in January or February of 2020, and it was part of the reason I joined was out of loneliness because of COVID, and I wasn't able to connect with other photographer friends and whatnot. And this gave me a safe way to be able to continue doing photography and learn, and also have the camaraderie and the feedback of the people that were also members of the SIG. And it's been a really wonderful experience for me. I've really enjoyed getting to know everyone. We all have different styles, and I learn something every week. It's just amazing. Sandy is an excellent teacher, showing us how to use all the different softwares that are available to edit photos. And I've learned so much in Photoshop, Lightroom, the Topaz filters, the Nik filters, and even the Neo filters too. So I constantly learn and enjoy expanding my software knowledge too. So this particular photograph I took at one of the local car shows that are available here in Green Valley. And I particularly like the head ornament on this car, and but I wanted to do something creative with it. And so I did. I took an eyeball out of, I think it was a tiger that I found on the internet, and stuck it in to replace the existing kind of ball that was there. Then I did some of the work that Wendell was talking about, using some of the distort filters, and use some liquify on this, which is a filter available in Photoshop, just to kind of make it just a little weirder than it already was. So it was a photograph I had a lot of fun with. I really enjoyed working on this one. It's kind of out of my comfort zone because I'm more of a realist, and this is a more surreal image. This is a photograph I took a long time ago. I think it was 2010, and decided to rework it. I always liked the feel of this one. It had such a serene, lovely feel. But as you can see, the little colt here has mud all over his neck and around his eye and shoulder. So I had to go into Photoshop and use the clone tool and get some content aware areas and clean it up. And as you can see, it cleaned up pretty good. I took it then into a Topaz, which is a software that we use a lot, and use one of their artistic filters to come up with this look that I thought kind of matched the feel that I was going for. This is a photograph that I processed also in Topaz and changed the color of it. The building was originally, I think, a light blue. This photograph I took going to one of the camera club's field trips called the Tucson Door and Window field trip. It was an excellent field trip to go on. I would highly recommend it. When I changed the color on this one, you can see the bougainvillea to the right turned the flowers purple, and you can see some blue flowers in there. I think those were actually pink at the time. So it's kind of fun playing around with the hues also, and getting different color combinations. This is another photograph I took 2010 or 11. It was a mare coming towards me out in the open, and the Dragoon Mountains are behind her. I like the feel of this one also. I love the look of her forelock and mane kind of blowing in the wind. I decided to crop this one vertically, and I went into Topaz and used a couple filters there, an artistic filter to kind of get the artsy look, and then a high key filter in Nick, the Silver Effects Pro Nick filter, and did a high key to bring out the whites and kind of change the texture on her coat. This is a photograph I took of a mare and a colt. We had brought them out of the pasture into the front yard of the home near the Dragoon Mountains in Arizona. And I just like the feel of the roses and horses together, because you don't usually see them together. So to process this photograph, I took out that strong bar in the back and kind of, I did a process using in Photoshop, using several different content aware processes to remove that, because I thought it just really was distracting. I also took the photograph and leveled it. It was a little crooked. I took it into Topaz and used one of their artistic filters and then put a black and white layer on top of it and filtered a little bit more of the color out of the coal too. It was pretty brightly colored, and it gave it a really nice treatment, and I was very, very happy with the results. And I've just really enjoyed learning more and more about photography and all of the editing software. It's a great SIG, and we'd love to have more people come and join us.
Okay, here's a gallery of some more of Maureen's work. She lends her work more to a pennerly touch. And if you can't tell, she loves horses as well. And here's some more students' work. Again, their credits on the bottom.
The things I've put into this are not the usual processing that people do in Photoshop of improving one single picture. I get some ideas, such as during our SIG a year or so ago, someone had examples of distorting images using Photoshop tools. And that led me to do a little digging, and I found one of the tools they have is a polar coordinates tool that does some rather strange things. This is the result of using that and multiple times. And what I thought of is that tool works nicely with the front end of automobiles. And so in mind, I was thinking of creating something like a piece of jewelry or a wall plaque using several different images that had been deformed using this polar coordinate. So if you could move to the next image, I used these 4 pictures of cars to create the composite that you just saw, and took all of these into the polar coordinate tool. And if you could move to the next image, this is what it looked like when I did one of the vehicles. And this is a screenshot, so it shows what where I got the tool. It was in the filters, in the distort, and the polar coordinates is what I used. There are several other options that do strange things, but this one looked like it was good for what I had in mind. In order to create the finished image, I did have to cut out parts, as you can see the yellow truck grill in the foreground. I cut that out and pasted it onto a blank canvas, and then did the same with the other images, and using the move tool in Photoshop was able to rearrange them, get them fitted, and then using some of the other tools in the transform to get things wiggled around to where I wanted. So that was how I did it. There's a lot of other things can be done with these Photoshop tools, but this is one of the more unique ones. The nice thing about doing something like this in the SIG is that I was able to show it to the group and get comments and and get just ideas of what people thought of it, which most everyone thought it was unusual for sure. But it did turn out pretty good for a first shot at this sort of an experiment. So that is one of the things that can be done if a person's got an artistic concept in mind. There's a good chance that Photoshop or one of the other processing programs will provide tools that allow them to make reality out of their vision. And so that's what happened here. Now, I've got a second one here. If you can move on to the last, this one is one that is just made up because I was wanting to try some sort of a montage, kind of a back to the 60s music thing, and had a bunch of album covers that I could use for the main subject. Now, this was one that in previous discussions of these perspective type photos that I'd tried, images that I'd created, it was mentioned that, in fact, Sandy mentioned that in his work, he sometimes used lines to create a perspective layout with the lines converging to infinity at a point. And so when I started working on this, I used that idea, created lines going out to a vanishing point in the distance, and fit everything within these lines. And this was all done in Photoshop. The lines are part of the line tool. I was able to put in where I wanted. And then because each line is on a separate layer, I could take it away, like at the top of these album covers, I could take the line away so it didn't show. I did leave the lines in at the bottom to define the surface there. And this was just something I was dreaming up about old music and getting all these albums, going back to the Beatles album at the back, which I made a little bit bigger because they were certainly a bigger influence on music than any of the others in the photo. In order to get these album covers to fit in nicely, I started with the perspective layout that I had, and actually would set each album cover up on a stand on a table, and with the camera on a tripod, I would take it at the angle that it would be fitting into the picture. So some pre-planning helped on that. So then I was able to make a layer of each one of these album covers and just fit it in like putting pieces into a jigsaw puzzle. Then the final result, I was looking for something music oriented for the background, and the best I could find was that picture I'd taken with the Desert Bluegrass Association, which I converted to black and white to kind of give an atmosphere for the music thing, even though it didn't directly connect. And this also got some comments when I brought it into the SIG. And neither of these has any deep meaning or symbolism in it. They're just kind of fun type images, some of which I've seen similar in galleries. People put things together like this, the mixed media presentations and so forth. So I think this is a place that just using some of these tools, it's possible to make up rather fanciful images that might be fun and worth showing to the group. So that's about all my comments I can make on how I did this. I didn't get into any real detail, but for those using Photoshop, if you haven't used some of these, be well worth digging in and maybe drop into the Fine Arts SIG and learn some things the way I did. So anyway, that's about all I've got on this one.
So some of you may know, Wendell also teaches our black and white photography SIG, and Wendell attends my class and I attend his, and we become fast friends, looking for critique on our work. Anyway, he's here today in the front row if you guys don't know him. Okay, great. Okay, let me show you some more of Wendell's images. We've got a gallery of his here. And here's another group of various members' images. Again, the credits are on the bottom. Okay, so I guess you guys are interested in some of the software we use. Of course, Adobe's pretty much the tried and true go-to software. Lightroom, Photoshop, and Elements, which is more of a easy to use stripped down version of Photoshop, are all available. For the painterly effects, we use Topaz Labs, Topaz Studio 2, and then for getting grain out of images, we've been using Photo AI, which is a new software that they're doing. Unfortunately, they've dropped doing Studio 2. I believe it's still available for download, and I'll share that link in the comments. Skylum is the current favorite among us. They make Luminar AI, and now the new generation is Neo, and I can demonstrate some of those for you real quick. Who's that headbanger? Okay, nothing like a little music to lighten things up. Oh, no problem. Don't worry about it. Okay. One of the interesting things that this is Luminar Neo, and one of the interesting things that it does do is to give you the ability to add sun to an image, as well as skies and some other things. So you can add rays when you don't have a day that's lending itself to it. Just kind of neat. And to do that, we can go to these images and move that down a little so I can see my menu here. You've got all these various tools that you can use to enhance and so forth. So to get that sun ray effect, you just go down into this section. And first you want to place the sun itself. So seeing the light's coming from back over here, we're going to just place it behind this tree here. And then as you bring up the amount, you can start seeing what it does. Kind of cool. So now you can play around and tweak it in. You can, either make it a little more subtle or more dramatic. With penetration, you can have it, go in front of the trees or kind of work itself behind them a little bit. You can change the number of rays. So you get something you like, maybe something like that. You can randomize them too. Just by moving along till you see something you like that way. I don't like it there. And then the other thing you can do is warm them up. Give it that kind of late afternoon glow. And then there's all these different effects you can add to do mystical feelings and so on and so forth. I think if I was going to start from scratch and hadn't used any software at all, this would be a good one to start with. It's got all the normal editing tools to develop, enhance, and add structure and detail and so forth. But then it's got all these other nice fun features. So it's kind of cool. It also has a catalog similar to Lightroom, although it doesn't do searches by keyword and it's kind of stripped down in that respect. But it's a good place to store your images if you don't have anything already. There's a shot from Monument Valley, and on this one, we're just going to replace the sky and make it an evening effect. So down here, the sky. There's one. See, we might want to try something else. There we go. How's that? Now, the other cool thing is you want to kind of blend in the time of day. So it gives you that as well as positioning the stars. You can move them around. Kind of like we're moving the earth there. You can also make them a little bigger or smaller. You can flip it if the lighting's wrong, you need to match the lighting, but in this case, I think that works out pretty well. But this gives you the ability to relight the scene. So since it's a nighttime shot, let's make it more toward dusk and evening. You can also defocus the sky, make it soft if you want. If you have like a short depth of field, you can adjust the brightness. So there's really a lot of ways to tweak this to your liking. So there you have that. Another one we use quite a bit, and again, I'm not sure if they're still supporting this. I know you can download it, but I'm not sure you can activate it. I've given the links, and it's worth a try because it's a wonderful program. Again, we have filters over here for your normal enhancements, with contrast, taking noise reduction down, sharpening, so on and so forth. Then we have different creative effects as well. The other cool thing is we've got presets. So you can actually start with something that's already there. You can change how much of it you want in the scene, by using the opacity, then you can apply it. So it's kind of cool. Here's another one. So let's say we'll play with this one a little bit. Basically, it brings in a folder and shows you all the different filters it used to make this. And what you can do to see how they work is there's this little eyeball. You can just kind of turn those on and off to see what each one of them does, and then decide if you want to adjust them or not. So there's your abstraction. And then if you click on that, it brings down a whole different menu where you can tweak to your heart's content. Basically, it's a large rabbit hole you can go down for a long time. The ultimate sketch pad. I think I like that. You ever want to see what it looked like before you just click on it? There's your before, there's your after. So I won't go into Photoshop and Lightroom. I think most people have seen or have used, and there's a gazillion YouTube videos to talk about that. So let's get on to the next person here. This is Kim Holmes. This is another one of my students.
Hi, my name is Kim Holmes. My husband and I moved here from Indianapolis back in June of 2020, right during COVID. I had been a member of the Riviera Camera Club in Indianapolis for 10 or 12 years. And so I was very happy upon moving to Green Valley to discover that there was quite a large camera club down here, and pretty quickly joined once we got settled in. difference in image photography is certainly the landscape's different from here, from the Midwest. So it has been sort of a challenge of getting used to new things to photograph. I've been a member of Sandy SIG since I have joined, and have really picked up a lot of new pointers on what to look for and how to process my images. The camera club I had been with before was a wonderful group of photographers, but we didn't have the advantage of, in a sense, the individual smaller groups to be able to work on our photographs and get pointers on how to make some changes, make some adjustments to everything. What I am going to show you are several images. They are both before and after I have worked on them to show the difference in those images. So this first one is, I actually took up on Pima Mine Road, just east of the casino, close to the intersection leading to Sahuarita. And this is the original raw image that I took. This is sunset. This was between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the evening just a few weeks ago. The second image, I just had a bird hit the window. Sorry. The second image is the processed image. I took this into Topaz Studio 2, brought out the detail, brought out the contrast a little bit, took out some noise. There wasn't a whole lot, but there was some. And then I also took it into Photoshop to try and dampen down the light blue hue that is over in the left mid area of the image. Kept some of the blue there because you do get that at sunset, but it was a little brighter than it had been. So with Sandy's help, explaining how to do that, I took care of that the other day. Sandy actually records all of our sessions and then sends them to us. And what I do is I replay it and pull up the image and go through the steps as I'm watching the video. So it's very helpful. The next image is a sunflower that I took out at Canoa Ranch at the pond. And this is the untouched raw image. The next image, I actually converted this to a black and white. I thought it brought out more of the detail, just gave it a totally different look, created a bit more of a bokeh in the background. I processed this all in Topaz Studio 2, using one of their black and white filters, and also bringing out the detail and the contrast a bit. I thought it made for a bit more of a dramatic image than the color image, even though I did like the yellow of the sunflower. The next image was taken at the Brown Hotel in Louisville. And I just went down, as you can see, it's kind of dark. I was looking for silhouette type images. So this was late in the afternoon in their dining area, and this young woman was getting ready to set the tables for the evening meal. So then I again took this into Lightroom, and I cropped it, and then used a mask to darken around the window on the left side to bring down the color tones there. I also used a brush to bring up, in a sense, the brightness on the glasses, bring a little more detail to the glasses that are in her left hand. I thought it made for a bit more dramatic image. And again, this was a suggestion that Sandy had given during one of our SIG meetings. The next image, and maybe the last, is up at San Javier, the White Dove. This is the original. the raw image, and I just was going for something different than the traditional front of the mission that we all see. I was there on a day that was a bit overcast, just a blank sky. It had been raining a little earlier in the day, and then it started raining while I was there. So I just wanted to focus on the dome and the vine work a little bit. So in the processed images, again, this is in Lightroom to start with. I adjust the blacks and the whites a bit, and the contrast. I then took it into Studio 2 and worked on the detail, brought out some of the work in the dome itself a little bit more, just gave it a little more impact to the whole image. And I just liked the black and white. I think it just adds more to it than going, especially with the sky being flat, it just added more to it than keeping it in color. I think that's it for my images. I enjoy the SIG. The fine art group is a wonderful group of people. I have learned an awful lot, picked up a lot of pointers, many things that you just don't often see yourself when you think you've got an image processed. Somebody points something out and you realize that, oh yes, that does make a great deal of difference. Even if it's something small, it can make a big difference in your image. I would highly recommend sitting in on the Fine Art SIG or any of the other SIGs that the Camera Club has. I do sit in on the black and white group and occasionally with the bird photographers. All of them offer a lot of information and a lot of help, and everybody is very easy to talk to and get pointers from.
Great, thanks.
You're
We,
welcome.
Here's some of Kim's images. In a more painterly vein. And again, here's another group gallery. Credits on the bottom.
Yeah, my name is James Bowman, and I've been with the fine arts group that's led by Sandy for maybe, I don't know, 5 years or something. And I've just learned a lot, mainly on details. So these group of images you're going to see are various treatments of one mainly program called Studio 2 and the filters that come with it. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so this image is a owl that I saw at, believe it or not, of Montezuma's castle. And he was just sitting back there and way back in the back, and it was just hard to get a real full image of him. So I took this image and probably zoomed in on it 50% and got at least a frame full of him, or at least somewhat aesthetically. And since I did not have, the image didn't do anything for it by itself. I decided that he needed to have a background that was more aesthetically pleasing. So I put this vignette around him and then put a topaz filter on it and then sharpened it up a little bit. And that's kind of about what, that was about all there was to it. I don't like to really be elaborate with my images. I just like if you can do it quick and easy, that's what I prefer. And yeah, now this one is a marshland over in Western Michigan. And it was a group of swans that were just beautiful, but they were really ugly. That green material that you see looked really terrible to the natural eye. And I just felt like, wow, this would be so beautiful if it were more dreamlike. And so I was looking for like a dreamy image. And so I put this again. Let me see if I don't think I put, it was again a topaz filter that was a painterly looking filter. And but I like the kind of dreamlike quality of this, and so that was that all that mattered to me was to see the swans and just a less objectionable foreground there. So the next one is over at in New Mexico at Bosque del Apache. That's like a group of marshes and lakes and so forth in just below Albuquerque, maybe 100 miles below Albuquerque. And so again, I wanted to get a scene with the birds, but the center piece, which was this crane, Daniel cranes, yeah. And so it was really nice, but again, I put a let's see here. I don't know. No, I don't think I put it on there. Which one? I think it was painterly, and it. So I put the crane in a sharp focus, and then dropped out the background and left it in a painterly look. So a combination of a sharp image with painterly background was what I was aiming for there. So much of it is pretty much the same. You know, I tend to use the same thing, only theme variations of the same image and the same purpose. This is again a painterly from called Remix in Topaz, and it really does some wild things, and you just got to match the right treatment with the right image, because not all images look good just magically. You have to kind of experiment with them. But this was a group of jazz musicians in Northport, Michigan, and they were just really a very interesting image, but you just have this nice changes in tonality, and kind of leaves you like it's a painting, but just glad that it turned out the way it did. It just gives a multiple of various kinds of tones, colors, and in harmony with one another. So I like that. And this last one is a picture of, let's hear, Picture Rocks Canyon, is that right? And it's just, again, a number of images that I took were kind of just sort of dull, even though that they looked okay, but they just didn't kind of jump out at you. So I put out a painterly to give it more color, more variety, a softer look on the skies, and a softer look on the vegetation that was in the foreground to your left. So kind of looks like cotton candy or or something, you know, much more appealing this way than just a plain image. So let's see, that's called Painted Rock. I think it's called that. Is this part of the, it's a national park, really. So that's all I have to say about those images, and I hope it helps you and helps the rest of the group to come up with variations of maybe an ordinary picture, turn it into a better picture.
Okay. That was Jim Bowman, and here's some more images of Jim's. And another group gallery with credits on the bottom.
This is James Murphy, and I am a member of the Fine Art Studio SIG. Here we're looking at a photograph taken in Madera Canyon. It's a night photo, obviously, and it combines photography and light painting to create a very dramatic image. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here I'm photographing some trees, and a lot of photographers have and artists have painted these trees. I wanted to do something a little bit different. So drone photography, which is basically a flying camera, allows us to get a different perspective and do something, you know, different with a shot that a lot of other people have taken. There's a strong element of linear perspective here, leading your eye off to the left. Next photo. Light and dark contrast can be really powerful in photos. Shadows in the late afternoon give a strong visual element to photographs. Here I'm trying to exploit the shadows of these same trees that you saw in the previous shot. Again, a drone shot to once again give a different aerial perspective. Okay, go ahead, next shot. We spend a lot of money on expensive lenses and cameras to get really sharp, clear images, but sometimes blur can be a very powerful element. It frees the eye up to kind of wander around the photo and look for different things in the photo. There's a lot going on in this photo here. And by not focusing particular on the person's eye or whatever, it gives you an opportunity to really explore the photo. And let's go to the last image here. This is a street photography photo that I did in Tucson. There's a little bit of mystery here. It's a minimalistic photo. The eyes are not, you do not see the eyes here, so it gives you an opportunity to wonder a little bit about the person and try and figure out maybe what's going on. What is the story with this photo? Street photography and wildlife photography really are similar in a lot of ways. They involve a lot of serendipity. They're kind of the opposite of studio photography. Studio photography is where you control the light, you control your subject, and you control the different elements to get the result you want. Street photography, you just have to accept what's given to you. You don't pose your subjects.
Now, Jim's also a bird photographer, so this next gallery section is more of his bird photography. There is a bird SIG. It meets on Wednesdays. Okay, we also basically handle two SIGs and we combine them into one. But before we move on to the studio SIG, I'd like to thank all the students that have submitted their images that we've seen so far and doing all those video chats. So why don't we give them a hand? Okay. So in the studio SIG, it teaches our members how to create better photographs using continuous and strobe lighting in a controlled studio environment, as well as on location. Each week, we view tutorials, attend group critiques, do hands-on training, and create our own images in the SIG's new cutting-edge LED lights and their new studio room. I don't know if you guys have been next door, but the old computer room has been changed into a large classroom, which is pictured below. And what we do a few times a month is move all the chairs out of the way and make it into a photo studio. So it's all hands-on. So you're welcome to come and join that as well. So let's take a look at some studio shots. This is a green screen setup. We have some software on a few of our computers where you can actually cut out images that are on the green screen. It drops the green out. It's especially good. You can see the spokes in the wheel and so forth, which would be difficult to mask out by hand. This semester, we're going to be specializing in mostly people and portrait photography, as well as some lifestyle setups like this one. These are some of my images. I must say I've been strongly influenced not only by students and critiques doing this fine art, but it's changed my photography quite a bit from when I was doing commercial work. And been a real good journey. Appreciate all the feedback I've been getting in class. So here's my information, and after this, we're going to break into some Q&A, and I can also put this information as well as links to the different softwares we discussed in the chat. So. Do we have any questions at this time? I'm going to stop sharing screen here real quick. Yeah, doesn't want to let me do it. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's already purchased and, have a problem with making
Yeah. Are you going to take a mic to the different people if they have questions? Yeah, I'll repeat that. I'm sorry. So you were asking if we have Photoshop. Yeah, we have Photoshop as well as some of the other softwares we show. I believe we also have a cut of Topaz Studio too as well. So you guys can read some of the papers.
So they're really, really close.
Yeah, yeah. They're even putting special lighting in there.
Sandy, we just lost the audio. It's gone all garbled again.
That's gonna
It's not gonna work.
Yeah, I want you to spill that on the mic. Okay. We're gonna try and get a mic on people for questions here, but evidently.
They don't like to be in the same room.
Yeah, I guess these mics are so sensitive. If they're even within 30 feet of each other, they start stepping on each other. So, yeah, exactly. They've been married too long. Any other questions here? Yes, Claudia.
The software that you listed. The software that you listed. The software that you listed, are those only available to the club here, or are they available to download?
Yes, they're available to download, and some of them you need to purchase a license for.
Okay.
So she was asking if the software is available to download onto your own computers, and we also have it here at the club. If you guys want to ask any questions out in Zoom land, I do have the chat window open at this time as well. And I'm going to open up my note here and copy. and paste.
Sandy, if somebody wanted to join one of your SIGs, just where and when exactly do they need to show up?
Okay, our SIG meets on Mondays at 1:30. Currently, we're doing it on Zoom. So if you go to the Green Valley Camera Club website, which I will put in the chat here in a second, then you can sign up, and every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how we're meeting, whether it's on season or off season, you can join us that way. Eventually, we'll be here live, and obviously, once we start doing the studio classes, we'll be here live as well, because those will be very hands-on. So
Okay.
I've just posted all those links in the chat. So the Fine Arts SIG link is there, as well as my information and links to the various softwares. Okay. Any other questions here in the room?
Yes.
Okay.
Sandy,
Yes.
Chuck Hill speaking. I'm Zooming right now.
How you doing?
And I am the coordinator, chairperson, president, and CEO of Showtime, which we have about 3 or 4 of those and you have really opened up my eyes. I just can't believe that all this could be done. And I would like to see some of the fine arts people put some of their photographs into a slideshow that we could show at Showtime. So
Okay.
maybe you can encourage that with your
Yeah.
group.
Sounds good. How many are you looking for?
Well, usually our
Six a month.
slideshows run somewhere between 2 and 15 minutes.
Okay. Why don't you shoot me an email? My email's in the link, and
We'll do that.
you know where to tell them to send it, and maybe I can coordinate and get it all to you in one batch to make it easier, or even put it
That
in
would be great.
a
Thank you.
Dropbox folder for you to download. Okay. Anybody else? All right, well, I guess. that
Thank you
wraps it up.
so much, Sandy. If
You're welcome.
people are happy with this and you're a Zoomer, please hit your reactions and clap or whatever. And if you're online or right there with Sandy, of course, show them your your reaction to that show. I loved it. I thought it was great. In fact, I loved it so much I started going to Studio Arts SIG now from New York, but still go.
Yeah, we see you on Monday mornings, or Monday
Yeah.
afternoons, actually.
Yeah. And our next speaker series will be a little different because it's in the morning. So for all you morning people, you'll love that. It's January 12th at 9 a.m. Both Zoom and in the studio. As Danny told you earlier, there will be a quick announcements and vote ahead of time. And our presenter will be an outsider this time, Jessica Gonzalez, who's a quite famous in Tucson muralist. You've probably seen her murals all over town. And Phil and Sue Rock have taken many beautiful photographs of those murals, and together they'll put together a presentation to you. So have a great holiday, everybody.
Yeah. Happy holidays, happy New Year. Thanks for coming.
And thank you, Sandy. Yay.
Stay healthy.